Hi, everybody. We're back at it again. And in today's segment, I want to talk about the home office deduction. Now, the home office deduction is where, this to kind of give you an oversimplistic view, is where businesses, typically when they're just starting out, is that they work out of their house, is basically what happens. And as part of that, you can take the deduction that you use exclusively for the business. Now, this is true in smaller type of corporations. You can still do this in bigger corporations, but there's a special way of doing that. You have to. I'll get to that in a second. But in something called a sole proprietor or an LLC, is that the business office deduction is reported, just to kind of get technical here, is reported on Form 8829. Now, there's two ways you can deduct the expenses. First, you can do the actual expenses of the household, or you can do the safe harbor, which is basically saying, okay, the IRS says, okay, you don't have to calculate the expenses, but just do $5 per foot to make it easy. And that's limited to 300 square feet. So 300 times $5 is whatever it is. But okay, so let me kind of get back to the actual expenses. So in doing the actual expenses, of course, just to clarify, is that you must use a space exclusively for business. So if it's kind of like your business and personal, no, you can't do that. But of course, if it's used exclusively for business, then definitely yes. The second part of that is that it must be the principal place of business. So obviously, you can't have like different locations, or you kind of work out of there like 5 minutes out of the week or whatever. It's where you meet clients. It's where you work 8 hours a day. It's where you primarily do the business. So just keep that in mind whenever planning for starting the business. And doing that, in kind of getting back to the actual expenses, is that the expenses are broken down into three categories. So first off, there's the direct expenses. So let's just say you use 200 square feet for the business. Well, you bought a computer, right? Well, that computer is used exclusively for the business. So, okay, that's deductible. And of course, your bookkeeper or financial person can kind of get into the deductions. Or let's say you buy copy or paper. Okay, that's used exclusively for the business. There's also indirect. So let's just say you pay for utilities. Well, the portion of the expenses used for the business is deductible. Usually what happens is you take the square footage of the business divided by the square footage of the total house, whatever that portion is. Let's just say it's a third. So a third times your utility bill is what you can deduct, things like that. And then there's unrelated. Generally, the unrelated expenses, if it's unrelated, it's not deductible. So, but just to kind of clarify, I could be here all day listing different kinds of expenses. But for the first two, direct and indirect, just, a good piece of advice, make sure it's realistic. Make sure you're not, money spent on raising a dinosaur. That's not deductible. No, not going to happen. But just kind of keep that in mind. And definitely, especially when starting a business and having a lot of transactions, if this is all like way over your head, talk to somebody. It's okay. Believe it or not, you're a financial person. They want to make your life better. So if they can get you more deductions and, all this stuff and kind of get you out of trouble with the IRS, or get you basically not in trouble with the IRS, it's definitely well worth it. And everybody wants to see you grow. So you can do this. You got this. But just kind of keep in mind that home office deduction whenever encountering expenses. But just a little bit about me. Myself and my partner, we do a bookkeeping company right over here, www.metroacc.com. Like us, love us, want some more of us? Well, like and subscribe down there, and you can find all about us. Anyways, until next time.